Welcome. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. This is the Hagir Show, and Hagir and I are so thankful for everyone that tunes in, comments, participates, and shares the love. And a quick special note this week is we wanted to tell you that we're actually taking recommendations. We're going to take any ideas that you have for shows and implement that in the coming weeks before we really get into that political season that's coming up. So if you have a topic that you like, someone that you think is special, let us know. Just reach out to us, let us know, and we will make that happen. So in the meantime, we have, of course, another spectacular show for you today. Our topic is going to be on education, educators, COVID, and everything in between. We are joined by two special guests. We have Judy Baumgardner with us and Duffy Batzer. So thank you both for being here. I know you're both very busy. Duffy, you just said today's the first day back to school. So thank you so much for taking time to sit with us.
You're welcome.
So Duffy, why don't you start? Take it away. Tell people who you are, what you do, and how you spend your days.
Okay. My name is Duffy Batzer. I live in Carlisle. I grew up there. And I am the middle school librarian for the Carlisle school districts. And I will get this out of the way. Nothing I say today reflects on the Carlisle area school district. They are my opinions and my opinions alone. I have two kids who are also in the Carlisle school district. So it's where it means a lot to me. It's a town that means a lot to me. So, and I am also the president of Cumberland Valley Rising, a progressive grassroots activist group in obviously Cumberland Valley.
I love it. I think we all kind of feel the same way. Like we have a soft spot for our hometowns here. So yeah. And thank you so much, Judy. I know you're busy as well. So why don't you tell our viewers a little bit about yourself and how you spend your days?
All right. Well, hi, everybody. And I'm honored to be here today to talk about my love and passion, education and leadership. So this, I guess you would say, is my 37th year. I spent 33 years as a math teacher, coach, advisor, assistant principal, you name it. It was a blast. It was a blast. I was in the Central Dauphin District, Lower Dauphin District, Susquehanna Township, and Cumberland Valley is where I finished my career as an administrator. I was the principal at the high school there, and that ended in 2018. I stepped into, I guess, what you would call semi-retirement, and now I'm an educational consultant. And currently dabble in a lot of different things here and there, but I am the program leader for the Pennsylvania Inspire Leadership Program that I work for the Department of Education, and I oversee the statewide school administrator, principal, professional development, which is an amazing opportunity, constant growth. I'm a fitness lover, an avid reader, a lifelong learner, and I believe in the whole child. So those are just a quick note of a couple of things about me.
We are a great group. We found each other. This is going to be a great combo because I can relate to everything. Yeah, right. Okay, so let's give people, before we really get into like the nitty gritty, let's give them some context to where you guys came from. How did you get here? Were you guys always going to be educators? Was that always in your future? Did you yourself like school? Were you a good student? Was this something that you knew you would become? So Judy, tell us a little bit about your journey.
Product of Central Dauphin High School and James Madison University. I think probably in there somehow was always that desire to help others. I think we're at our best when we're helping others. And I just, I got a degree in health education and at James Madison, came back here. And then I was working for a great family in a sporting goods store, just super people, but I knew I wanted to teach. I started substituting. So I'm back to Shippensburg and got my math certification and got out of there and took a job at Swedauer Junior High and fell in love with it. My first year, like any teacher, Duffy, you may understand, was like, you're like trying to keep your head above water. Did I make the right decision? And when I went back for the second year, I just completely fell in love with the profession and working with kids and other adults. So it's been great.
Mm-hmm. See, my son's first day of kindergarten, we were waiting at the bus stop for him to come home and tell us how his day went, and all the kids got off except for him. And so we had like a meltdown, and we were like, oh my gosh. And of course, he was fine. He just got put in the wrong line. But it was also his teacher's first day of school, too. So I just think it's funny that we both had that experience, and I felt for her and she felt for me, and everything was fine. But I just remember thinking that this is her whole entire career, and this is her first day. So you just can't take for granted all the things the teachers have to keep in track of in a day. Yeah. So Duffy, tell us about you yourself. Was education always in your future? Were you a good student? Is this something you knew you were going to become?
Well, no. So I grew up in a family of teachers. My aunts, cousins, grandmother, my mom, and I was adamant I was not going to be a teacher. I was like, I'm not putting up with the crap you guys put up with. That's just ridiculous. My mom they lived through a couple of strikes and, things like that. And like that I didn't see purpose. I was a ridiculously good student because my mom never had to check on me for anything because like I was just so self-driven and and the one who I would cry over a C and that kind of stuff. And but and then after I went to Penn State and I got my degree in comparative literature and I was working in journalism. And then I think the genes started kicking in a little bit, and I sort of couldn't deny that I was sort of feeling pulled towards education. And I tried what they had a resident teacher program in Maryland where I was working, and it was they were having trouble recruiting teachers in difficult districts. So they had this program where even if you didn't have an education degree, you could try to go. And there was a reason for that. It was really hard, and I did not make it a year in that classroom. But it did show me. It still made me realize it's what I wanted to do. So then at the time, my fiance, now my husband, and I moved back to Pennsylvania, and I got I had to just take some classes through Wilson College to get my teaching certification in Pennsylvania. And then, I don't know, Judy, this might be where I know you from too. I taught at Susquehanna Township for a couple years. I don't know when you were there, but you might be familiar to me.
I was there from 2001, right after 9/11. I was telling Hagir and Heather, right after 9/11 until 2009.
Okay, that's it then. I was there 2005 to 2006, 7, right in that area. So I think that's probably where we crossed paths.
Wow, we got it. We figured it out.
Yes, yeah. So I taught until my kids arrived, and then I took some years off. And in that time, I got my master's in library science. And then I was at Shippensburg in their elementary schools for a couple years, and now I've been at Carlisle. I think this is my 5th year in Carlisle. Yeah.
So, I mean, just a curiosity as I'm listening to both of your stories, what does teaching at different districts give you? Does it give you a point of reference and then you have something to compare and contrast against? Because I grew up, I remember my favorite teacher ever was my 3rd grade teacher, and she got her job and she kind of lasted in that job her whole life, which I always respected. I thought that was cool. She made it her own and left obviously a legacy there. But I also think that it's nice if teachers can kind of go around either in the same area, because I think between the East Shore and West Shore, all these different places, you're going to find differences. Do you think it's a positive that you had all those things? Did it give you some sort of like building blocks to know what's good, what's bad, what needs to be worked on?
I think so. I mean, I would have been so happy being a classroom teacher for 35 years. But opportunities presented themselves. Mm-hmm. And as I moved from Sweat Junior High, Lower Dolphin, Susquehanna, more diverse, Cumberland Valley, you do. And you bring ideas with you that you hope in new districts are open to. And you also learn some things in the districts that you're in. So I do think, again, I think it works both ways for whatever your boat is,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same, Duffy.
Yeah, I mean, it, like I said, that I think it also, on the less positive side, I think it is great. You learn different things. and about different places and where different, but you also learn that we unfortunately treat places too differently in our education system. It's there, you can see the disparity in districts based on, you know, their tax base and then what the state's going to do. And even, you know, in Maryland, they have county systems for school districts versus, you know, here where we have our very small school districts. And there's good and bad things about both of those kinds of systems. But yeah, like you know, you're out there in the world and you're not in your bubble, which I think is always a good thing. But also you realize that everything is a little bubble and maybe we need a bigger bubble.
Okay. That makes sense. It really does. Because I think we get a sense of that as parents too. Maybe when you're moving to an area and you're trying to get a sense of where you want to go. Like I personally work in real estate, and we aren't allowed to talk about school districts. We're not allowed to steer someone somewhere that we think that they might belong. It's not ethical. So you have to let them do their own research. But I always wonder, what's that research? Where are they finding that? It's going to be it's going to be these bubbles that you fall into, and maybe you wouldn't fall into another one. So I want to kind of jump right in to the relevant things. And I think we're going to talk about kind of like an overarching heading of what are teachers presenting to society right now? Because I think it's interesting. A year ago, we all had to become teachers suddenly. When school shut down, I mean, our generation will never forget that COVID moment where all of a sudden there was this chaos and Italy shut down and what the hell? And you're trying to figure it out. And then all of a sudden your school shut down. So our teachers were heroes a year ago. And now I think there's been a little bit of a shift. There's a little bit of friction. There's a little bit of pushback. So I want to dive straight into that and talk about it. What was it like last year, Duffy, for you to experience COVID? What was it like, Judy, to watch all of that with your education background? And I mean, how did you cope? How did you actually get through all of that?
Yeah. Well, you know, the first, I think it was hard. The first thing that was kind of difficult was trying to divorce being a parent in COVID from a teacher in COVID. And, you know, realizing that you had those two separate roles trying to decide, you know, and there were things being decided for me as a teacher that panicked me as a parent, you know, and vice versa. And so that was sort of the first line of that fight or flight kind of thing that you kind of got. And then it was just sort of the idea that, you know, you're going to have to make choices and there's no good choice. There's no choice that's going to feel right. And you're never going to know if you made the right choice because there wasn't a right choice that way. And then I do think I will, you know, it was impressive, like how, you know, quickly after shutting down, everybody adapted and everybody figured it out to the best of their ability. And, you know, I know teachers who had, you know, we use the system Schoology in Carlisle, and there were teachers who had never even opened their accounts. And within 2 weeks, they were experts on it and had their entire curriculum, you know, up on Schoology. So I think that was, and, you know, then it was that initial, like, we love our teachers, look what they're doing for us. You know, it was great. And then we had over that last summer, they sort of saw this backslide where teachers are also like, hey, wait a second, we need safety too, and we have concerns about ourselves and our students and what's happening. And, you know, all of a sudden it's like, you know, like that the bloom was off, you know, the flower a little bit, and people were, and, you know, and you saw kind of a more ugly side of things. And, you know, and then the districts themselves had to make these decisions about how to run their schedules. And, you know, everybody had a different one going on. I think to our detriment, again, we didn't see enough coming from federal or state levels. I think if broader organizations like DOE and DOH and the Pennsylvania, I know maybe some other states did differently, but I know in Pennsylvania there wasn't much there, and federally, of course, there wasn't much there, and the districts had to scramble and make a lot of these decisions for themselves about what to do schedule wise and how to run it. In Carlisle, we went with the hybrid model where half the kids were in 2 days, the other half were in 2 days, and we all had they had a day in the middle where they cleaned everything. And we even got lucky. The community rallied, and there were some grants and things. And one of the summer programs was able to open like in firehouses and things, where they could give kids the social distance on the days they weren't in school, for families who really had no one to watch their small children. And again, the districts had to make these choices, and they had to make the choices they felt were the best for everybody. But again, there were no good choices. And I do think there could have been better choices if higher up people had put the time and the money into helping schools last summer, as opposed to just hoping and praying and fingers crossed that we're not going to have to do anything, you know.
A consistent, clear message would have gone a long way.
Yes, would have. Yeah. And even like, I think the schools could have used support, like, when they send FEMA in after disasters, sort of what schools needed last summer. We needed some kind of educational version of FEMA, but then again, the boots on the ground, the people on the ground, the teachers, the administrators, the janitors, the lunch people. I mean, we had, our lunch providers and the teachers and everybody. We were volunteering and passing out lunches and breakfast to kids, in car lines, to make sure that the kids who needed it were still getting food. And there was no question asked. You got in that car line at one point, and you had to sign up, but there was no like, are you on free or reduced lunch? No, if you signed up, you got food, and it was the teachers and the administrators and the lunch ladies and the janitors and the nurses, and everybody in the schools were the ones volunteering to hand out the food and make sure that this was going on for kids. So, I can't say enough about my fellow people in education. And by that, I do mean everybody from the secretary to the superintendent to the school board members. They all were there for the kids as much as we all could possibly be.
Did you have a similar experience, Judy?
Well, and I'm not in the classroom, but we had, we run statewide programs, and it's pretty intense and elaborate. And, Glennon Doyle has this statement. She said, life is hard, we can do hard, and then we go out and do hard. And we looked at it as opportunities. We had to take all of our programs, which some of them are required by law, and completely go virtual. March 13th hits, we shut down our programs for the rest of the year. And we turned everything around by July 1st. But sort of what Duffy was saying, we had people that just put their heart and soul in. Many people on my team are older than I am, and I say that with respect, and they dug in and they proved that they were lifelong learners. So we completely switched everything to virtually. So what we try to do is celebrate the successes and the opportunities. I think education, like science, is evolving. People go, oh, we've talked about this. You told us last week it was this. Well, we didn't know this last week. This whole COVID thing is, we're finding out from India, from the Delta and UK. And so we have to be open to what was true last week might not be true this week. And I think we're headed into that maybe again with COVID for the fall. And we're all going to have to, figure that out together. So, I think what I would say is, from COVID, we've had the opportunity to learn how to do things differently. I hope, and I'm fearful that many districts are just going to go back to the way of doing things that they were. And I think there's some things we could take from COVID and learn and make it better, not only for kids, but teachers as well. So I learned a lot. I always try to look at life as that lifelong learning spectrum, and it keeps me young. And there were a lot of opportunities to grow. And were there frustrations and failures? Yeah, but that's life. We get knocked down, we get back up, we try it again. We had to, Duffy was saying, people learning Schoology, and we have to allow our teachers sometimes to fail. And that's okay when they try different things. We want them to do that. We want our kids to do that. So it's all wrapped into that. I looked at it as opportunities out of a bad situation.
Yeah, and there definitely are, like, we even, Carlisle's updating our secondary schedules a little bit. After last year, they realized that because of the way the schedule was, there was more time for teachers to really work with kids on a more individual level and things. And so they adapted the schedule this year to sort of try to help implement that. And you know, and there's a big push in education, and I, you know, to, like you said earlier, Judy, the whole child. And you know, realizing that you're never going to get to academics if that kid is not in the right emotional and mental and physical place. And you know, so there's a lot of push to that. And you know, I'm hoping, like you said, that the good thing that comes out of this, I get a little irritated when people start talking about learning loss. I don't think that is something that you like. Kids are going to get what kids are going to get. They are going to learn and they are going to learn what they need. And especially if they feel safe and secure in a situation and know the adults are there for them. And instead of pushing what they didn't get, you know, celebrating what they do. And I would like to see us reassess the kinds of standards and the kinds of things we're trying to hold children to that are unrealistic. You know, somehow in this country, we've thought that the best way to get academic success and compete with the rest of the world, which is another thing I think is silly, but is like to push academic standards earlier and earlier and more of them. And we're realizing that that's not good for anybody. Like, you know, you can't teach algebra to a 12-year-old whose brain isn't even ready to access that yet, you know? So COVID kind of really made us pare down and think, what do we need these kids to know? Because we have such a finite amount of time to figure it out. And I hope we keep reassessing that and keep making more realistic and attainable goals for students than maybe we've had in the past.
I think some of that has to start at the federal level. I mean, that's what I do. I work for, you know, consult for this program, but one of the rungs of our bar stool is our program through NCEE, which is the National Council of Education Economics. So they are one of the best on research, and I get to deal with a lot of worldwide research, the Scandinavian countries, and you know, it's I agree. I'm not a big standardized test person at all. And you know, you look at Finland, like they're the happiest country in the world, and things that they do educationally. And I think it goes back to the whole child. One of my favorite stories, if I may quickly, is I had a student at Cumberland Valley. He wasn't the valedictorian, but he was a student with the highest grade point average, unweighted. And if you're in education, you understand that. And he also won the Family and Consumer Science Award, and he was a football player. And I'm thinking, wow, that's what we want. We want our kids to find balance. Like, it's okay to take a couple of honors AP courses and take a guitar course. And, you know, I think it was Scotland. They dropped kids in college over there. I think it was, don't quote me, can't declare a major till like their third year in college, because they want kids to explore and figure it out. I think the statistic is like 80% of kids change their major in college. I don't know
Guilty.
if that's like 4 or 5 times, I think. But the point being is, we need to allow kids to Duffy's point, and at the state level, we recognize this, that the mental health is a huge, social and mental health right now is huge for kids. But we need to allow them to explore and figure things out. And I really, really believe that. I believe, you know, it's okay to take courses and find out what you don't like. Because then you don't go to college, you know, hey, I want to be an accountant. And then you take an accounting course and you don't, hey, that's not my thing. And so you don't waste money starting college as an accountant. And I'm also a big fan of like the gap year. And Heather, you and I have talked about the phenomenal opportunities with trade schools and community colleges, piecing together certificate programs. Again, the large part of students do not need college. That's not where the jobs are. And you know, Heather, you talk about that.
That's something that I like that Pennsylvania is doing. They have really upped their career curriculum and standards to try to make sure kids are more aware of the skilled jobs out there in the, apprentice programs and VOTech and things, because that is a really great way to be successful in life too.
Do you
Me
find that the kids
honors.
like that? And do you find that the parents like that? Because
Well,
my
I'm gonna
son, I
share
don't
my
think-
experience if you allow
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, go ahead.
Miss Judy knows Malaz. Malaz just graduated 2 years ago, high school, and she's the type of kid. Today's her birthday, so shout out to Malaz. She's one of those like smart cookies. Since grade 1, she's been an honor student. She always worked hard, and I feel sorry for her because she got this from me, like she can't rest. You have to go, 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 go. And she always wanted to be a doctor in her whole life. She loves science, neuroscience. She's majoring in neuroscience now, and she wanted to be a pediatrician. And back in my mind, I was the only parent, and she had to bring that up and say, Mom, every parent tells their kids to go to school, be an engineer, be a doctor. I was pushing her towards, because she's talented in art, and she was acting, doing those stuff. I was pushing her to pursue something that she loved and she will feel happy with. And, she said, I'm happy. I want to be a doctor. That's my choice. So up to today, when we talk, I ask her, do you feel you need a gap year? Do you want to explore other things? Do you want to just take time? And sometimes I feel like, am I the odd parent here? So yeah, share with me, because I'm not like, I know education is very important, but I changed my major. I was an electrical engineer, did not care for it. So I felt like I wasted money. Even though the educational system in Sudan, college in Sudan is better than the US. So, my first degree, electrical engineering, I finished my whole degree. I didn't pay $1. It was free education. And I came here, start all over again, got my bachelor degree in nursing, because that's where I found myself. And I don't know anything about engineering. People say anything you learn, it will help you one day. That's not the case with me. So I'm not saying by any means don't achieve and accomplish a college degree, but know what you want. And most of us in 20, 25 years old, you don't really know what you want. I think that was my case. So
I think I just finished reading. I read a lot of leadership books, and I read Adam Grant. He's a professor at Harvard Wharton School, I think. He wrote a book called Think Again, and I read it because I'm trying to open my mind to people that think differently than I do. And he talked about purpose and passion. And if you had to choose one for like an employee, what would you want? And believe it or not, it's purpose. Purpose outrides passion, because passion is intrinsic, but purpose is collective. And so I think those are the discussions we need to have with kids, bringing it back to the kids and the whole child, giving them opportunities to explore. And Hagir, and I wrote this down on my paper, there's just alternative pathways. We don't all fit. My mom and I would have great discussions, and she was asking me about a subject once. And I said, well, Mom, I find that too many people try to put people in a this or that box, a black or white, up or down. And there's so many gray areas in the world. And if we could all just kind of get there and understand that there's gray areas and whatever it is, we'd be better off.
I think that the sort of that purpose and passion thing I like too, because like I think the other thing, again, even not just whole children, but whole person, like as an adult too, like this whole, we get so fixated on what we do for a career. Even you're asking little kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? And you mean a job, right? And your job does not have to be your passion. Like, you know what I mean? Like you can have, it doesn't have to be. The thing you do to support yourself does not have to be your passion. It can be your purpose. It can be your passion, but it doesn't have to be you. It does not define you.
Michelle Obama said one of the worst questions we can ask a kid is, what do you want to be when you grow up? Because she said it makes it sound like it's finite.
It's one thing.
I love it. And but instead take your children and explore. What do you like to do? what did you like about school today? What would you do differently? There's a zillion questions you can ask, but I thought that was a great insight.
Yeah. Oh, and I love my husband is a musician. That's his passion, but it's not what he does for his living. But he'll work with the high schools for their musicals and things. And one of the ones I love is a guy we know. He started a musical at the Dauphin County Votech, right? Those kids, like he was the first one to come in and do any kind of theater at the Votech school. And of course those kids want to be in theater. So you know what I mean? Like there's everybody everywhere on every interest level. You're going to find people who want to be on stage. And it's been amazing. Like it's my husband's favorite school to work with because it's fun. And and I think we have a tendency to box those things too much, like again, your job or what you're going to do as a job means that you also don't do these other things, and that's not, there are, people in vocation who can love the theater just as much as, a doctor or lawyer or superintendent or whatever, and we've gotten these weird boxes in our society that way that I think if we look at the whole child and then thus the whole person, we can break those apart a little bit and give people better purpose and passion.
So get to know the whole person, the holistic approach of our kids, and just add one more thing. Her answer was the same. That reminded me what she said. She said, Mom, I can't pay my bills by playing music or doing my art. I can still do this on the side, which we have as parents to enrich that. Like I allow them, not allow them, I'm looking for the right word, give them or expose them, like Judy said, expose the kids to everything. And if they find their passion and something that they like, that's fine. If not, there's nothing wrong with learning. Or that wrong, Judy, came out wrong or right?
No, it was right. I think when we allow kids the opportunities to have space in their confusion, in their discovery, in their creativity, it really does open up opportunities for them to grow and to figure things out. And no, she's absolutely right. And you could pair stuff. Kids. We need kids to have that space to be creative and be have ingenuity, and then that leads to entrepreneurship and all those things our great country needs.
There's a famous TED Talk, I think it's Sir Ken Robinson, I don't know if you guys have seen it, where a mother comes in and she says, my daughter's not excelling in school because she's always fidgeting and doing all of these things. And they said, well, she's not just a head that the body takes from room to room to room. And I think the eventual answer was, your daughter is a dancer. That's what she is. And she's being put in an environment where that's not available to her. And that was about, a moment of clarity. And so I think the overarching idea here is I'm listening to Hagir be a mother and have like professional level insights into her child. I'm listening to you guys have incredible insights because you're actually on the ground. You're actually doing the work and the nitty gritty. So one, how do we support you? Because right now I feel like there is some public opinion that's coming in, trying to change the way you do your job and influence the way you do your job based on very little actual on the ground experience. But also, how do we retain teachers? Teaching is an exhausting, all-encompassing job. We'll get to the teacher shortage and recruiting new teachers, but let's talk first about keeping the good ones, because we don't want you to wash out. We don't want all of the terrible things, difficult parts of your job, I should say, parents, grading, hours, and now this new pressure from the outside to influence people that are actually there, that actually have the heart, who are actually beautifully paying attention to their kids. So what do you guys think about that? How can we actually support our teachers? Because they're people. We need to personalize them.
I would suggest that everybody in general, especially parents, take a deep breath. And again, I only mean this with respect, but just because you went to school doesn't make you an expert on school. And I would never tell the CEO of an airline company how to run his company, or
Yes.
how to be a healthcare professional. It's not my realm, but I have spent 36 years, 37 in education and leadership. And I think people get so passionate. I'll go there. Critical race theory. It is so misunderstood. It is about a way of thinking. It is a way of seeing things, just like Marxism or feminism or queer studies. You know, it's a way of thinking. It's not telling you I am indoctrinating you. It's getting people to think differently, and that's a good thing. You know, but it has been just so misrepresented across the country in the name of politics that it makes me sad, because we education isn't this perfect prescription. And, you know, you can't expect teacher A and teacher B to do the same thing on the same day every day. That's not realistic. So I think that we need the teachers and the administrators are the experts, and we need to lean into them. You know, I'm a little bit attention deficit sometimes. I can't sit still. And I often wonder how I survived high school. Great teachers, but they lectured a lot back then. Well, research has evolved. We know how to teach differently now than when we went to school, and a lot of hands-on, moving around. I mean, and I could go on a whole show just about, you know, teaching strategies. But I think we need to let the teachers and the administrators do their jobs, and also that public education, I'll speak specific to public education, you know, my one boss and mentor, you know, when we open our doors in the morning, we open our doors to every kid that comes through that door, every single kid, not just your private views, you know, and I think that we need to get there. We need to open our minds more and allow the experts to do what they need to do. That's a big point of frustration for me.
I'm exactly on the same page. Like, that's exactly, we need, I remember a couple years ago now, I read an article where they talked to some teachers, and I think they were from somewhere in Scandinavia. I can't remember where the one they really talked to, who had moved here. And they were talking about the differences that they saw, and their biggest one was the amount of autonomy they were given in their own classrooms. You know, in their home country, teachers you chose your textbooks and the books you used in your classroom. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it wasn't a school district thing or a school thing. It was, you decided what you were going to use to educate the kids in your classroom. And I think that says a lot, you know. And not only just that, the material like that, but even let's trust teachers when they tell us how kids are learning. We're experts. We know how a kid is doing in the class, and never is, you know, a teacher's opinion, and I'm going to say expert opinion, ever really validated in the school system. I mean, there's the grade, but right, like, for some reason we feel like we have to have all these watchdogs on teachers, right? The legislation has, and we've got to do, you know, SLOs to show that our, you know, lessons are this way. And we have, you know, there's this whole formula how standardized tests are put into your evaluations and blah, blah, you know, like all these things. And like, everybody wants education to be so, like, quantitative, right? They want numbers to show kids are learning. And that's,
Duffy, I'm going to push back just a little bit, because the state did just overhaul Act 82.
They did. You're right.
I actually got to be a large part of some of those committees.
And I know that's coming. It's starting to roll out.
I chaired the SLO committee, and that went away.
Yeah, I know. And I just heard about that today. And
I think be careful there, because Act 13 is much improved, and the legislature did the right thing. You know, I think to your point though, Heather, how do we keep teachers? And a lot of the research shows mentorship is huge. Time to collaborate. You know,
amongst each other.
So let me give an example. You know, we talked earlier about COVID and what opportunities we have. Now, you have to understand, my world is secondary, not elementary. So I don't have the expertise there that I think I do, you know, in a secondary level. But kids can now have flexible instructional days. Like if we have a snow day, they don't have to count it as a snow day anymore. Carlisle, I think, was a leader in
Yes, they
that.
were. Yeah.
So think about how we can think about things differently. Wouldn't it be great if like 2 days a month, kids could learn from home? Again, elementary is different. I get that. Elementary parents, I totally understand that. And then we give our teachers time to collaborate, because there are some, when you create that time, and because of teacher shortages, we used to have common planning time built into our days. We don't have that because of the stretch and the need for teachers to take on more. When you build in that time to collaborate, they are phenomenal. These teachers get together, and I worked with some English teachers at Cumberland Valley that were just phenomenal in pulling things together. So I think we need to mentor younger teachers, mentor younger administrators. We got to keep administrators in the conversation here about retaining them as well. The good ones. Did that make sense?
It did, yeah. And so I want to highlight real quick the very real problem of the teacher shortage. I think that we send our kids to school, we either drop them off, we put them on the bus, and that's kind of as much as we think about. We think about our student, but we don't really think about the building and the hiring and the staffing. But there is a teacher shortage in Pennsylvania that will become a crisis at some point in the near future. We have students that will go to our universities in Pennsylvania, get any sort of degrees they have, certificates for teaching, and then they'll leave. A part of that is we haven't raised base teacher salaries in my lifetime, in more than 30 years. And so they know their worth. They know this generation is fearless. They know what they're worth. They'll go somewhere that they can pay them. Our neighboring states can pay them more. And so talk a little bit about that. I always tell the example of my son's favorite class was Latin. And when his fabulous Latin teacher decided to move, there was a real possibility that there were no Latin teachers to replace her. So people a generation from now can send their kids to my son's school and they will never even know that we used to have Latin. It'll just be gone. So talk to a little bit about that, how there's teachers leaving the profession, and they're not actually staying in Pennsylvania.
Well, I think, first off, I have to say, most teachers aren't motivated by money.
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay, but given that, based on their educational experience, they're at the lowest pay.
They should be compensated. Yeah.
Professionally, with regard to their education and ongoing professional development, they're at the lowest pay. I will tell you, I'm working with my boss who reached out. Pennsylvania PDE, there's some great people at PDE. I mean, they work so hard for the state. I think they've gone from over 1,000 employees to like over 400. They work hard. They work hard all day, every day. So I really have to give a shout out to the people at the Department of Ed. I think they don't get a fair shake sometimes. But, they know that this teacher retention and teacher recruitment and retention is huge. And if I'm correct, Pennsylvania does, I think, Heather, you point out, had a lot of teacher education programs, but that's also affecting the other states now because they can't pull from our educators. Does that make sense? Like Shippensburg is a big educational university and kids would graduate and go back to their home state, and they're not, because kids aren't going into it. So, what do we need to do? When I started teaching, I went to school on a basketball scholarship, took a year off, went to Shippensburg as a grad assistant. So I got some tuition, I pieced it together. When I got out, I started teaching math at Swedauer Junior High School, and I applied for a loan forgiveness program for math and science. And every month I taught, some of my loan was forgiven. I think we need to start to look at things like that, outside the box, how we can encourage kids to go into education, not come out with a lot of debt. And then once we get them there, the mentorships and the collaboration time, not having teachers have to do lunch duty or hall duty, where we build time in for them to collaborate and have those mentorship pieces. And there are some mentorship, but we need to take it to a whole different level, I think.
Just to say, there's a couple things on that. One, like, I know, like you were talking about the collaboration days, I've talked to some people where eventually we're going to have the school calendar everywhere is going to look a little different. Like the 180-day school day is not going to be September to June with 3 months off. There's already a lot of school districts that do the kind of year-round kind of school. And I think that's where you can kind of play with that, like, well, if you're going to play around and you're not going to have these big chunks that, the big chunk of 3 months, and you're going to move that out throughout the year, can you do that so that collaboration days are more easily built in? Like if it's, every month, every other week or whatever is a 4-day week for the kids, and the teachers are there to be able to work and collaborate. And I think that is a huge thing, building time into the schedule so teachers aren't spending their entire evenings and their entire weekends, working for school. That would be a big help in recruitment and retention. And I know in this last year, there was a real series, like whole thing where we were talking about the whole person and your whole personality and things. Because of COVID and things, like it felt like people expected teachers to be teachers 24/7. You were not, because there was the whole concept, like, districts were telling teachers that they had to find childcare when they, because they were expected to be there for their students, and you need to figure out what to do with your own kids more differently because your students are more important than the message was your students are more important than your own kids. Your time is not yours. And that was very weighing on a lot of people in the profession. I mean, it was because of the online, that was one of the downsides to being able to use this technology and be online. You were almost, and I think people in other professions are having this too, you were on all the time. It meant that and teachers especially, because they care so much, have trouble putting on that I am not available message. When that kid is frantically texting you saying, or messaging you saying, I was working my shift at the grocery store till 11 o'clock and I don't understand this homework and I really want to get it done, what teacher isn't going to want to help that kid? But it really, and I think part of the problem was there was a level of that was just expected of you. You are a teacher. That means you're passionate about it and you love it and it's your thing. And that's not, yes, it might be a calling, but it's not me. It's not the whole person.
I think we'll come out on the other side. I think hopefully we'll come out on the other side of that. Who knows when? But I think too, again, we have to think about things differently. I talked to my colleagues in inner city Philly, and the one lady goes, we couldn't get computers into kids' hands, and then all of a sudden COVID hits and every kid has a computer. How about that? She said it a little sarcastically. Yeah. Or, nobody had internet access. Now everybody has internet access. We know that's not true to an extent. I mean, I think that's the infrastructure of internet would really help to begin to level the playing field. But again,
school lunch debt, and then all of a sudden we had free lunches.
Right, for everybody, right. And I saw the whole SNAP thing today. They upped it by $36 a month. I think it went to
5%. Yeah.
And it's still everybody. I know every student in Carlisle is going to get free breakfast and lunch this year.
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
Even here for Cumberland Valley, because I did call. We got the letter, and I said Ramaz is not on free lunch. They said everyone is on free lunch this time. I'm like, good. And that's again show us with handicap accessible and all of the services, all of the jobs that could have been done remotely, and we were told, no, it can't be done. We can't have help for who need help. But this is COVID exposed a huge lie, I can tell you.
I think we need to find a balance. I don't think we're meant to work every day, all day from our kitchen table or our office at home. I think, we're social human beings, and but I do think, again, I'm coming back to what are the opportunities to school districts? I would say, what are your opportunities? Could you do one virtual day a month? Let the parents know up front it's going to come on the second Wednesday of every month, or the third Wednesday of every month, or even the first Monday. And parents could find time as a family together, and a kid could work remotely if they can find a hotspot. I just think we need to think outside the box. It's that old adage, just because we've always done it this way doesn't mean we need to keep doing it that way. And Heather, you're spot on. I was really impressed when we talked on Friday, and the first thing you said was, recruiting and retaining teachers. And if parents don't back off, if they don't quit bullying these teachers, teachers are leaving by the droves. There's
The
going to
good
be
ones.
nobody left to do this.
Yes,
And this
the reasonable
let's face it,
teachers.
teaching is one of the most admirable professions there is, and there's many, but
I think that goes a
mistakes.
little bit to administration too. I have always said, we have teachers who are taking those risks in their classrooms, those teachers who are pushing thoughtfulness and making kids critically think about systemic racism and women's rights and how our history has really played out and where it's going and how it's being affected. Those teachers who are trying to be more modern and progressive in their thinking in classrooms need to know that when there are community members or teachers who are going to push back, parents who are going to push back on those ideas, that they're going to be supported by their district. I'm sorry, but too often, more than not, what you see is the district back down and kind of leave the teacher, hanging on those things. And that's when you see them leave. That's when you see a teacher quit. That's when you see them step back. But I do think that's one of the important things too, is to make sure, and if you're a community member who agrees with the teacher, step up. What I mean? Like, too often there's more people who would support that teacher. It's just they're not speaking out as much, and that needs to be there too.
I mean, this is fantastic. And I mean, we didn't even get into teachers' lifestyles, summer schedules, student loan debt, teachers buying supplies. We could have like 10 shows on this topic, and you are always, always welcome back, and we can continue the convo. But we do like to end our show on a light note. We gave a lot of info. Our viewers learned a lot. Hopefully they can ask questions. If you leave comments, we will answer them. But we're going to end on a light note with a lightning round. So you guys ready to do a quick lightning round? I'll ask a question, have you both answer, and then we'll just go through these real quick. Top of your brain. Okay. So, let's start with what job did you want when you were young? Was it a teacher, or did you want to be a trash man, an astronaut? Go ahead, Judy.
I think there was always an educator inside of me, but I would have loved to have been a sportscaster.
Ooh, good answer. Good answer. Go ahead, Duffy.
I think I jumped around a lot when I was little. I don't remember anything. I think fireman was in there I do know, like, when I went to college, like, I went all through middle school and high school wanting to be a veterinarian, and then they made me take chemistry, and I realized that.
Yeah,
the chemistry
that will wash you out. Yeah. Yes. What's a childhood experience that you can look back on and see how it shaped who you became? Go ahead, Duffy.
Being a big sister.
Nice. Me too.
Yeah.
Being the child of two people that grew up in the Great Depression and sacrificed everything for my brother and myself to have a better life. That certainly shaped me and motivated me. That's why we'll let it at that.
Nice.
No,
Beautiful.
continue. I want to hear. That's why.
I was just going to go.
It should be like to be continued.
Down the road of with great freedom comes great responsibility. That's what I learned. We are at our best when we are helping each other and taking care of each other.
Amen. What is a public figure who influenced you? Go ahead, Judy.
Oh, geez. I would say I've had several educational mentors. David Volkman, who's now my boss, was my boss at Susquehanna and PDE. Mike Clements is my mentor. He lives in Florida. Pat Spielbauer, who is the mother of, passed away of cancer. People that guided me, the mentorship thing was really huge.
Yeah, you said public figure?
Yep. For anyone, you could pick a family member, someone close to you.
Someone influence you, or someone.
Yeah. I know it's now, and this isn't my life, but like Michelle Obama, like she so often, like, even before Judy mentioned, like, she so often puts the best words to how I feel and I think, and it makes me feel rallied, you know.
Mhm.
You know what we talk about here at home? We talk about the world needs another Oprah right now.
Yes.
We need
There you
another Oprah
go.
Winfrey at 4:00 in the afternoon
Hagir.
to bring us all together. You know?
I vote for Hagir. She could-
I don't know if it can happen on the way that television is these days. Where would you put it on that everybody would see
Right.
it?
That's true.
You know
That
how
is true.
4:00 every day she brought us together.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All different walks of life, and she evolved in her career, and so.
Mhm. See, Michelle, I'm listening to Barack Obama's audiobook right now, and the way that he talks about his family, I'll be in like Wegmans and I'll be tearing up. I'm like, this man, like he's a good father, and he talks about the effect it had and the grace. And so he obviously was watching someone he respected in his wife, and he can document that, and it's just really, really powerful to listen to someone else.
One of his books. Which one?
Promised Land. I was going to say the yellow one.
Yeah. So it was there. I
The
just
other
yeah.
one.
Yeah.
I just finished the audiobook of his latest one.
Mhm.
Promised
Yeah.
Land, right?
Promised
Yeah,
Land
that's
yeah.
really
too.
good.
Right, yeah, that's Promised Land too. Sorry, I was thinking.
Yep.
Never mind.
Mhm.
Yep. Yeah, I just
Yeah.
finished. It's really good. He is like.
Well, it's like, I think it's legitimately 24 hours because he's reading it and he's got his little cadence going on. And so
It
it's,
took me a while.
Yeah. me too. I think I'm at like hour 10 and I've been doing it for months. So that
You
leads
know,
me to the
that's
next
only
question.
that's only volume 1.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, hell yeah. Bring it on.
Coming, yeah.
So that
Sorry.
brings us to the next question. A favorite book, either a favorite book that you like to read or a favorite book that you like to teach. What do you think, Judy?
Oh, wow. I read all the time. I try to have such an eclectic. I don't know if I can give you one book. There was a book called The Gentleman in Moscow that I loved a couple years ago, but I read everything from political to self-help to leadership. Just finished, like I said, I just finished Adam Grant's book, Think Again, trying to open my mind to different ways of thinking. So that's a hard one.
Yeah.
I think a book that I think about a lot and I just really liked and was fun is Lamb, The Gospel According to Biff, Jesus' Childhood Friend by Christopher Lamb. I don't know if anybody, it's another good audiobook. The audiobook is very well done. I just it's funny, but it's got heart and it makes you think and it's I really always like that one, and my thoughts go to it a lot. And then I never got to teach this one in the classroom, but I've done book clubs with it, and it's always resonated in the last couple years. Is The Hate You Give?
Yes.
Mhm.
I watched the movie and I read the book.
Yeah, by Angie Thomas, right?
Yeah.
Yes, Angie Thomas, who's also a really fun follow on Instagram. She just got a new dog, and it's so super cute. But yeah, like it just the conversations you can get students into with that book. Yeah, it's a really good book.
Mhm. So summertime is coming to an end, coming to a close. What's your favorite vacation destination? Go ahead, Duffy.
For the last 25 years, we have always gone to Chincoteague Island in Virginia.
Nice.
So, and this year we actually got to go for 2 whole weeks, which was super
Oof.
nice.
Luxury.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
we go with a big group. Like we get a bunch of different houses. It's a big group of friends and family, and so it's a nice place to reconnect.
Nice.
I would say Provincetown, Massachusetts, out on the tip of the Cape.
Mm.
I was just
Good
there
answer.
for a week. So good stuff.
This is a question I think we always get interesting answers on, and it's broad, so you can go anywhere you want with it. But whatever comes to mind, your guilty pleasure. Could be food, could be a TV show, could be something scandalous. I see you thinking, Judy. Go ahead.
I think, you know, it has evolved over the years. Maybe I used to say ice cream or cheese, but
Mhm.
I hadn't really gotten into since COVID hit binge watching TV like Schitt's Creek, or now I'm really into Ted Lasso on Apple TV.
Oh,
My God, it's so good.
it's so good. Oh, we'll have to
It's like
share like
during
theories
COVID,
of
it
what's
was
going to
like-
happen.
all right, everybody go to their separate corners and work, and then we'll come back, have dinner, and then we'll watch a few episodes.
Fridays are now Ted Lasso days. In my
Yeah.
house.
Yes.
Call
Yeah.
them Ted Lasso. That I don't know if you've watched, if anybody's seen the last episode yet, but
Yeah.
it's
Oh, yes.
Oh my God. I'm like, we're going to watch this on Christmas every year.
I
Like,
know.
Yeah, there you go. There you go, Duffy.
yeah. I think though, for me specifically, it's cooking competition shows.
Oh,
I'm a sucker for a silly cooking. I mean, first of all, Great British Bake Off is one of the most amazing TV shows.
Oh yeah.
Put on
You
TV.
and my
Absolutely.
kids both.
Yeah, but eat any of them. I'm a sucker for any of them. Like I don't know.
Mhm.
I don't know why, but they.
I like the Great British Bake Off because it's not quite so like I get anxious for the other ones. Like
Yeah.
they're like opening up a basket and they're like, it's
Yeah.
sugar cookies and ketchup, make something. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't handle it.
I know. And then
I take it too personally.
There was just the one that he put. There's the silliest one that they just had on Crime Scene Kitchen, which like
What?
No,
That doesn't even sound right.
it's like they set up they call it Crime Scene Kitchen, but like basically what they've done, the crime is someone has been in the kitchen baking something, and the bakers have to figure out what it was they baked and try to recreate it. Like and it was hosted by Joel McHale, if you know, from Community and Soup and stuff. He was very silly, and it was and it was over the top because they had all the lights, you know, and the ridiculous set. But I will give
You pulled me from not on board to on board in like one sentence.
It's like yeah, but it's like it was like baking in an escape room.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, and we will end with my favorite question. What's something you're looking forward to personally in your family, in your job? Like back to school time is one of my favorite times of year. So what are you looking forward to? What's exciting to you right now? Go ahead, Duffy.
Sweater weather.
Good answer.
I want my sweater back. I want to wrap. I want a cocoon.
There you go. Good answer. What do you think, Judy?
Change of the seasons. I can't imagine living anywhere where the seasons were the same all year. So we love creating moments for our friends to come over and watch football or, you know, go to a baseball game in the spring or whatever. So I'm just looking forward to the change. Although I said I will not take any pumpkin spice things before September 1st. I will not.
I've already done it.
You
We follow no rules in this house. We have no rules. We'll pumpkin spice in August. We'll get Christmas music all year long.
There you go.
I lean salted caramel. I like when the salted caramel stuff comes out. That seems to come along with pumpkin spice for some reason. So I'm a sucker for that.
Yep. Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Judy, Duffy. You guys have been fabulous. This has been a great convo. I know that it's going to help give people some context. I think it's most important to hear straight from the people who are actually living their lives. It's enough for us to have conjecture about what's going on. It's totally different when you can hear. You can hear what the educators are going through. You can hear what's working, what isn't working, and what we can continue and actually learn our lessons from COVID. Take some good lessons that we all were learning together and move them forward. So thank you both for being here. We really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you both, and we're looking forward to having you again. Definitely.
That would be great. Yep. Thank you.